God bless you, family. I'm a changed man for life. Thank you for stopping in and checking out my video. Thank you for stopping in and checking out my channel. If you have not yet subscribed, please take this time to do so. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell so you get the notifications. Help me spread this hope. How's everybody doing tonight? I hope you're having a blessed week. I hope you're having a blessed start to your new year. Here I am, 2024, coming with some new videos, coming with some new ideas. Some things I want to start trying to do, some things that I'm going to start trying to put into place here for the channel. Hopefully it'll spur some growth. Hopefully it'll help the message spread. And hopefully you guys will join with me in this journey that we're on to spread this hope. If you've seen the thumbnail, you already know what this is. I'm going to try to do a series, maybe do one video a week or so, maybe one video every 2 weeks. But the series is going to be called God Had His Hand on Me. And what I want to do during this series, during these episodes of this series, is reflect back on my time in prison before I became a Christian. Reflect back on the time when I was active in the madness, living in the madness of gang life and drug addiction and participating in what goes on in prison. And just thinking back on times that even though I wasn't yet serving God, that now that I am serving God, I can look back and know that He had His hand on me during these times. And there's quite a few of them that I can think of off the top of my head. And that's what I really want to get into. For those of you that are new to my channel, maybe this is your first time checking one of my videos out, or maybe you're new to the channel. I'm going to put a link in the description box to an older video, which was my introduction video, introducing myself, my story, this channel. So you can go back, check that out, kind of get an idea of who I am, what I'm about, what this channel is about, and what these videos are about, what my purpose is, what my intent is, the things that I won't be talking about, and the things that you won't see on here, and the things that you will. Many of you know that I was in prison for 24 years. I was a lifer. I'm an ex-gang member. I'm an ex-drug addict. I went to prison in 1991 with a 30 years to life sentence for a gang-related murder. I was 21 years old at that time. So I went to prison with no hope of ever coming home. By the grace of God, here I am. And again, if you're new to the channel, once you check out my introduction video, you'll see that my channel ain't about glorifying the things that go on in prison. I don't come on here telling war stories. I don't promote any organizations that are prevalent within the prison walls. I'm not knocking nobody, but that's just not my life anymore. So I'm not here to talk about that. This is not a prison channel per se, where you're going to hear stories about prison life and all that. I will talk about things that go on in prison as it relates to me and my walk with God, like I'm going to do tonight. This is something I typically don't do. I don't tell, like I said, war stories or talk about things that went on in there, especially that other people may have done. I will occasionally talk about stuff that I was personally involved in, but ultimately it's going to be with an intent of giving God glory and with an intent of letting God shine through this story, through what He's done in my life. So I hope you guys will stick around for the whole video and for this series going forward of God having His hand on me. What I want to talk about tonight is Corcoran Shu and something that took place while I was in Corcoran Shu. This happened in 1994. I was 24 years old. I had been in prison for 3 years, barely starting my life sentence, still living my madness, still claiming my neighborhood, still actively using drugs, actively, living that prison life, no hope of going home. So I caught my SHU, this particular SHU term, for possession of a weapon. They searched my cell and found 2 knives hidden in my mattress. Maybe one of these days I'll tell a story about how that came about. But I got a 1-year SHU term for possession of a weapon. I was at Ironwood State Prison when this happened, level 3. I had only been there a couple of months. It was brand new, 1994. We opened the yard there in Ironwood. And that whole story leads into why I had knives and what was getting ready to happen and all that. But that's another video for another time. So anyway, 1994, I pulled up to Corcoran Shu, 4A yard. If you know anything about what was happening at that time at Corcoran Shu, that was the time of the gladiator fights, or the Corcoran Scandal as it's often called. If you don't know about it, look it up. It's, a well-known story of what was going on at Corcoran Shu, where the staff there was setting up fights, betting on fights, setting up people to fight other gang members, putting people together on the yard that they had no business allowing together on the yard because they knew it would result in violence and all the stuff that was going on there. So this was the environment I was walking into. Again, I'm 24 years old. I've only been in prison 3 years, my first time in prison, so I don't know a whole lot about, the business, the stuff that's going on. I'm learning as I go. I had never done prison time before. This was my first time going to prison. Did a few county jail terms, a little minor, 90 days here, 6 months there. You know what it is. We go to jail, in and out of jail. But this was my first time in prison, and this is my first time going to the SHU. So I walk into this situation where this scandal is going on. And in 1994 is when the feds had first got involved. Some stuff happened that drew the attention of the feds, and they were investigating, and it was still full-blown cracking, but it was the beginning stages of it stopping. It was the beginning stages of it the feds shutting it down. But it was still going on. So here I am, a young man, going to do my little SHU term, going up in there with my little chip on my shoulder, programming with the homies, doing what we do. And if you're not familiar with what the inside of Corcoran Shu looks like, there's a building with 3 pods inside, sections, A, B, and C. When you walk into a pod, when you walk into a section, if you're walking in the door, what you see are just cells. There's a top tier and a bottom tier. On each tier, there's 5 cells, and then a shower, and then 5 more cells. On the bottom, there's 5 cells, a shower, and 5 more cells. That's your pod, and that group of 5 cells at this time in 1994, in 4A 2 left, that's where I was at. In 4A 2 left, each group of 5 cells, that was your yard group. It didn't matter what races were in those cells. It didn't matter who they programmed with, what umbrella they were under. Those 5 cells is who went to your yard. You guys went to yard together. So there was always something cracking, right? If you just happened to fortunately land in a set of 5 cells where it was all your people, it was all good. That was rare, but sometimes it happened. If it so happened that you were the only cell from your faction and all the other cells had people from other races or other factions, you knew what it was as soon as that door cracked. So anyway, I'm there, and at the time, my cellie is a dude from Casablanca. Not gonna put his name out there. From what I heard, he's deceased now. Rest in peace, bro. But he was from Casablanca, and we're programming. It's a yard day. The tower cop comes on the microphone, announces, turn on your light if you want yard, right? So normal program, we're going to yard. It's mandatory. We're getting ready to go to yard, so we put our light on. Now, let me give you a little backstory. So down the tier, on the other side of the shower, which means in another yard group, there's a cell of others. Others meaning you're other than Latino, white, or black, right? You designate yourself as an other. There was a cell of others. They were Arabs. They were some cats from, I don't know, somewhere in the Middle East is where their cultural background was from, but they ran others. They were Arabs. But they programmed with the Northerners, right? That was who they functioned with. They weren't Latinos, they weren't Mexican, they weren't from up north in that sense, but that's who they programmed with. And these particular cats had a history of giving the Huras problems. They were always causing drama for the Placa, 602ing all the time, talking crazy out the cell door, always being loud, causing drama, and the Huras didn't like these cats whatsoever, and really nobody did, just because of they were very disrespectful, loud all the time. So they weren't cool, you know what I mean? Well, I guess the Hura finally had enough of them and was looking for a way to get them into something, and sure enough, here it came. So this particular day, the Hura's coming in to see who's going to yard, and our cell was the closest to the stairs. So when The CO came up the steps. He shot right by us, which was weird because we had our light on. We're waiting to go to yard. So I go to the little door, peek out the side to see what's going on. And he goes to their cell. And he's like, hey, you guys want yard? And they're like, what? Because in their mind, they know it's not their yard day. It's our yard day. It's the other cheer. It's the other yard group's day. But they're programming, so they know what time it is. They're like, yeah, we'll go to yard. And they turn their light on. So the hoorah pops their tray slot. They cuff up. They escort him down the steps out into the sally port. Send him out to the yard. As soon as we seen him coming out, in the cell next to us is some homies. And they jump on the vent. And they're like, hey, did you guys see who's going to yard? And we're like, yeah, we got it. Don't trip. And they're like, you sure? You want to wait for us? We're like, nah, don't even trip. We got it. So they're like, all right, cool, man. So then who that comes back and he's like, hey, you guys going to yard? We're like, yeah. So we got our little shower rolls and everything ready. You know, we put our hands out the tray slot. I cuff up. My celly cuffs up. We get escorted down to the rotunda. They put us in the rotunda to go out to the yard. In Corcoran Shoe, when you're in that sally port waiting to get popped out for yard, there's a big window. So you can look out to the yard and see who's out there. And whoever's out there can look in and see you. So we look out there and they're out there. A couple other sales of people are out there from our yard group. I think some whites. And they know what time it is as soon as we come out. We know what time it is as soon as we come out. Them dudes knew what time it was going to be as soon as that door cracked. And, you know, it is what it is. Who uncuffs us in the sally port. We put our hand on the door, look up to where the gunner's at. There's a little hole. He looks down and says, you guys ready? Yeah, we're ready. Boom, he hits the button. And you hear the door pop. Bah! We fling the door open, and it is what it is. We take off running straight at them dudes. I go to one, my celly goes to one. And it's on. We're involved in mutual combat. No weapons. Just head up phase. I'm boxing with a dude. My cellmate's boxing with a dude. So we're getting our little box on for a few seconds. The hooter gets the first warning. Get down, get down. Of course, we don't get down. Everybody's still fighting. The other dudes in the yard get down, but the ones involved in the combat ain't getting down. So we're boxing. He lets off with what was called back then the block gun. Non-lethal weapon. Shot out a block of wood. It's what's called block guns. It shoots out a little block of wood. Boom. That thing hurts when you get hit with it, but so he lets one off with the block gun. Bah, get down, get down. We ain't getting down. Everybody's still fighting. Second time with the block gun. Get down, boom. Lets off with the block. Usually that's all you get. If that, you get them 2 warnings with the block. The next one is the real thing. And this is where the hand of God comes in. After that second one, we hear the round get chambered. Now what they have up there in the tower was a Mini 14. We hear the Mini 14 chamber around. Clack, clack. That sound is distinctive, especially when you're on a little concrete shoe yard and it echoes. The dudes that are already laying down are yelling, gun, gun. So as soon as that happens, you know, hey, bro, it's time to lay down. So all 4 of us get down. The dude I'm fighting, we prone out. The dude myself is fighting, they prone out. So we're laying there. I don't know what got into this man, but the dude I'm boxing with jumps back up and starts running towards my celly. I got no choice. I'm not gonna let my celly go out like that. I'm participating in the functions. So I jump up and I go to cut him off. He lays back down. Now I'm the only dummy standing in the middle of the Corcoran Shoe Yard during a time where they were openly shooting and killing people for sport, for fighting. I'm standing there. The hoorah's yelling, get down. He's already got a round chambered. Everybody's looking at me like, fool, get down. In my head, I'm panicking. I literally, in my head, think I'm about to die. I look around, and the only thing I see is the dude that my celly was fighting right there. God forgive me. I kicked him in his face hard as I could. Now, at the time, the shoes we had, the shoes they were giving us in Corcoran Shoe, were the little karate shoes. It's a little piece of plastic for the sole and just some little material on it. It's not like a hard shoe. It's not a solid shoe. So I kicked this dude in the face with it and broke my big toe. And it's kind of funny now, but at the moment, all I'm thinking of is I'm about to get shot at any moment. And that's why I say the hand of God was on me, because the man didn't shoot. One, I'm the only person standing up in the yard. He's given the order to get down. He's already fired twice with warning shots with a block gun. He's chambered around. Under normal circumstances, any other time, I would have been dead. The man again yells, "Get down, get down." I got myself down. This time, nobody jumped back up. They cleared the yard, ended up handcuffed. We get up, go handcuff, all that kind of stuff they take us. But by the grace of God, I did not get shot. And I know without any doubt in my mind that that's what it was. It was the hand of God on me. Like I said, I wasn't a Christian at that time. I was participating in the nonsense. But God had a plan for my life even then. Just because I didn't know it doesn't mean it didn't exist. And God truly had his hand of protection over me, because I should have died that day. I should have got shot in the head like many other people in Corcoran Shoe did for the same, not even doing what I did. They were in the middle of fighting. They hadn't even been warned to get down and then got back up. I'm just blessed, so very blessed to even be able to be sitting here making this video, talking to you about it, because God truly had his hand on me. And these things happen in prison all the time. Things happen to people. And I want people, y'all that are watching, that are involved in stuff, you youngsters that might think it's cool to be out there banging and going to prison. Maybe if you're in prison watching this and you're involved in the functions, I'm not going to tell you, you're a grown man, you got decisions to make for yourself. But tomorrow's not promised to nobody. And even in just a simple one-on-one fight, anything can happen to you. By the grace of God, I'm here alive. Didn't die at a time when I probably should have. Because people were dying for doing what I did, for doing less than what I did at that time, at that place. It was terrible, the stuff that was going on there in Corcoran Shoe. And I just give God all the glory, the honor, and the praise for sparing my life and for bringing me to where I am today. Not only alive, but free. Free from a life sentence. I had no business ever getting out of prison. But again, God had his hand on me. And I'm going to do a video maybe next week about that as well. This is episode 1 of the God Had His Hand on Me series. Fam, just know God has a plan for your life. Doesn't mean you could take chances. I didn't know that he had a plan for my life. I didn't know that I was going to come asking for God's mercy one day and that he would smile on me. But at that time, at that moment, I can look back and know without a shadow of a doubt right now, I'm telling you, with all sincerity in my heart, that God had his hand on me, even in that dark place. He had a plan for my life. He has a plan for your life. And I'm so grateful to be here alive after going through that. I give all glory and honor and praise. Thank you guys so much for checking me out. Jesus loves you and so do I. I'm a changed man for life. God bless you.